It's a little late in the day, but FedEx dropped off my new PRP GT3s for Stormin Norman. Fortunately, it's a little late, and I still need to wash Stormin Norman off. There's like all kind of privet leaves and limbs and all that from riding here in Alabama this weekend. I'm gonna get it cleaned up. I'm gonna sit in the factory seat, do a little measurement, and then swap the seats out, put these GT3s in, and see what difference, if any, it makes in the height. Because I do have a fairly low cage from L&W Fab on this machine. And yeah, been waiting on this. Although the seats in the Pro XPs are by far the most comfortable seats Polaris has ever put in a factory machine, they're still not where I want to be, because I really like suspension seats because of my old ass screwed up back. Riding in those plastic composite seats still hurts me after riding a while. So yeah, got some sweet PRP seats. I'm gonna get those put in. Alrighty, it is install day. Gonna get my PRP seats put in. Old Stormin Norman here. But the first thing I'm gonna have to do is get it cleaned up. Nasty. Not too bad really on the outside. I don't think I'm gonna go full bore and wash it hard. But the inside, since I'm gonna be putting some seats in, needs it pretty bad. Because I went riding in the woods of Alabama on some not so well maintained trails and end up with a lot of sticks and leaves and just all kind of junk in here. So I'm gonna get it rinsed off before I do this seat install. Nasty, nasty. Just so much limbs and leaves. I'm surprised I don't see more privet in here, because that's what mainly went through. But you can see this is what happens when you ride in Alabama on some not so well maintained trails. I don't know where in the hell that come from. It ain't mine. So one of the things I wanted to check before I swap these seats out, I wanted to check the height. Now granted, I put an L&W cage on Stormin Norman and had it made to my height where I could still wear a helmet and hit my head. So I got underpants over there holding the phone, and I am gonna measure how tall this thing is, the roof over my head. So let's see. So this is just an estimate of the roof over my head. I am at 2.5 inches above my head, which is roughly what I wanted to do. What I usually do with the cage is I'll ball my fist. If I can ball my fist above my head and my hand's not touching the roof, then I still have room for a helmet. That's just how I gauge mine. But roughly about 2.5, 3 inches. Let's see again. Let me try that one more time. Looking in the mirror. Well, actually looking at that's 3.5 inches. I was reading it wrong. So I got 3.5 inches, basically my fist and a little more with these seats in it. So I get the PRP GT3s in and see if it raised or lowered me. So here's the tools needed for this job. I am going to go ahead and throw out that I did use the T40 mainly just for the driver's seat, because I had to unscrew a couple of the floor bolts to get my little harness wire out. So I had that T40. You're going to need a 10mm socket, a 10mm wrench, ratchet wrench preferred, course, you're going to need the ratchet, a 16mm socket, and a couple of extensions. Use both of them, and an 18mm wrench and the 7/16 wrench, if I didn't already mention that. So that's it. That's the tools you need, and possibly you need the T40. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. I needed it. But there you go. That's all the tools you need to get this job, PRP Seats, installed. All right, so I got it as clean as I'm gonna get it for now. Get these seats swapped out. First thing I'm gonna have to do, because Polaris actually did the right thing and put the harnesses through the seats, and there's no way to get the seats completely out without removing the harnesses. So I've got to unbolt these 2 bolts on both sides. So I'm gonna get those out. First up, I'm gonna remove this 10mm bolt, I hope. Maybe not. That's holding this little thigh strap. It ain't very tight. And I can't get my socket in there. And of course, being the elusive 10mm, I have lost my 10mm ratchet wrench. So it just is what it is. The hand tool mechanic is what I'm having to be. And I'm gonna hang on to all this stuff because I don't know if any of it needs to be reused yet or not. There's a thigh. Let's get the lap off. To get this lap belt bolt off, you're gonna have to have a 16 and an 18. And get that off and leave the bolt there so I know where it's supposed to go. And get the harness and feed it through the seat. Got it out of the way. Now I got to do the other side, but I am going to go ahead and pop the seat out for that. But as usual, this latch on this thing, I can't get the stupid seat out. These things are just awful. Great concept, but practically worthless after you start using them, because what happens is you're squeezing that and it's pushing this piece of plastic, which is very, very thin, and to push down and release these hooks. On a 4-seater, it's not that big of a deal because I can pop into the back and unlatch it. 2-seater is a pain in the butt. You usually have to get a screwdriver, but you can come back and pull these latches by hand to get the seat out. And if you ever take the seat out and you're not putting, you know, aftermarket like PRP seats in, always oil these hooks, because that helps a lot trying to get that seat out. Same thing, 16mm and 18mm, and I'll get this lap belt off. Ah, there we go. Whew. I think I was about to let a turd out squeezing that hard. Again, I'm gonna throw that bolt back in just so I can keep up with it, and move back up here to the other thigh harness, which is a 10mm, and get that sucker out. I really like the idea of kind of like how they did the lower in the rear, how it has these clips. And that might be what I end up replacing these with. My plan right now is to keep these retractable harnesses in temporarily, even though I'm not a huge fan, but I am waiting on a specific harness to come in that I'm really looking forward to. That kind of goes with the theme of this Pro XP4 build. Get them out. All right, here. Let's see, I got that. Uh-oh, I got to figure out where. Oh, there we go. Man, if that wire's a little longer, I'm going to have to unclip this wire from the harnesses to get it through. And I'm going to be honest with you, I don't want to have to take my center console to get this sucker out. Got everything unbolted. I can run this side through the seat. Get that out of the way. And I got that little hard shell seat, never going back in again. All right, let's open up the hardware box and see what we got. And for any of you guys watching this video, let me just go ahead and point this out. It'll probably get said anyway, just like it did when I did the Kawasaki video, where people said, hey, maybe you should have done your research. Well, let me point out on the Kawasaki video, bought the Kawasaki the day it came out, so there was no research to be done, hence the reason I went and bought it and made videos on it, so you guys would have somebody that had some input. So same thing with these seats. As far as I know, other than PRP, I'm the first person to be putting these seats in that I know of. As I know Aaron, the president of PRP, has some in his personal Pro XP. And PRP is actually in the process of shooting a Destination Polaris episode this week, putting these seats in. So there are no instructions. There is no how-to video on YouTube, hence the reason I'm making this video. So for you guys that come in 6 months from now and say, well, you should have done your research, or why don't you use the instructions, or why don't you use the PRP's install on YouTube, let me just go ahead and say this right here, is it doesn't exist today. So that is what I am doing. The thing you're going to need to do is remove these 8 nuts on both sides of the bracket. We're going to remove all 8 of these. Power tool would have been handy, but hey, I guess I need the exercise anyway. And God knows, make sure you don't drop these tiny little things in one of these cracks. You're liable never to find it again. That really stink to have to go all the way to the hardware store for me over one of these little bitty nuts. All right, put them up here. Let's take this bracket off. There we go. This is the one bracket you will not need to reuse, because we're going to replace them with the PRP brackets. Right, so these brackets, I was trying to find out. You see they have these holes here to match the 4 bolts coming through. If it goes with the flat end toward the front, or the other way with the flat end toward the back. Well, I figured out real quick, it can't be the flat end toward the back, because you have this spring for your slider mechanism, which they have it notched out just like that. So your flat end is going to go to the front, and I'm going to go ahead and put these 8 nuts back on and tighten them up, and hopefully I can get my fat hands in here to put the seats on. Well, since my ratchet will no longer fit in there, and since this is 8 bolts or 8 nuts on each side, I decided to take a break. And look what I found. Da, 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 da. Man, this is one of the greatest tools. I hope whoever came out with the ratcheting wrench is sitting somewhere drinking him a cocktail on a beach, because it's just the greatest thing in the world. All right, I got all 8 bolts tightened up and got my seat. I'll make sure I got the air lumbar for my seat. So I'm gonna make sure, because they keep that tucked under there, I get that out of the way. By the way, thank you, Aaron, appreciate that. We're gonna get these seats on, but before I bolt these seats down, I'm gonna go ahead and show you, just because I think it's gonna be more of a pain. I want to go ahead and get my Click 6 harness routed through the seat and go ahead and bolt these two bolts back in, bolt them back in here, because I think once I get the seat on, it's just going to be hard to get to. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, run those through, and it'd be the same thing if I was putting 5-point harnesses in, which I am going to do with this machine, but I don't have them yet. Like I said, I found some really cool harnesses, 5-point harnesses that I want. I'm waiting to see if I can get them. They're kind of rare, but yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and do that and get the seat, pop it up, and route this right side harness through.
So I can get most of that. I'll set it here out of the way.
Pull a lot of slack out of that. One of the disadvantages of these harnesses that makes me not a big fan of, and the other thing is, because these are the Click 6, I can't run them through the harness holes in the seat. Again, it's just, you know, an inconvenient thing for me, but I will be putting 5 points in here eventually. Thing that I learned trying to get this strap back in with these tight, this bracket tight, it was hitting that bolt, so I had to come back and loosen those up. So just an FYI, don't tighten all of those up yet, or you're gonna have a little difficulty getting that bracket back on. I mean, getting the harness back on. Just a quick footnote, learn that lesson real quick. I got the seat halfway in, and go ahead and run my harnesses through. I went ahead and did that right side, got it through the seat, because I just felt like it would be easier. Mainly that thigh strap was going to be a pain to put on if I put the seat in first. So I'm going to do the same thing with my left side. I'm going to go ahead, run the harnesses through the seat. Again, like I said, one of the reasons I don't like these is because it is a pain in the butt. If you ever need to take the seat in and out, you're going to have to unbolt these if you run it through the harness holes. You can run it over here, but I don't want my harnesses way out on my shoulders. I want them where they're supposed to be. And like I said before, a hard lesson learned is I had all these tightened down, and I had to loosen them just because they did slot those a little bit where there's a little movement. And I learned the hard way that I couldn't get this bolt in with them tight. I got that back in. I'm not so much worried about getting that one on, but I left these loose just to see before I tighten them up, because I want to get these bolts started that hold the seats on. And like I said, I'm still not sure if I was supposed to bolt all this onto the seat first and then set it down, or the other way around, but I've opted to do it this way, and I'll figure out which is the better way when I get to the other side. So yeah, so it comes with the hardware pack to bolt your seats on. So I'm gonna do bolt washer and lock washer and fire it up under there and see if I can get these bolted on. All right, here comes the fun stuff. Not sure which hole this goes on, but we're gonna start with the front. I know you're not really gonna get to see much of this because it is a little tight in here. Let's start here, and then I'm gonna go back with one of the rear bolts. Yeah, get that sucker to line up. And I'm not all that great with doing anything with my left hand. All right, I got that one started. Let's go to the back and see if the front hole's the hole I need to be in. I'm not really sure what the purpose of having two holes. Just not real sure on that, but So the front hole did work out for me on that bracket. So let's go to the other side. It's like gonna be a little less room for my fat hands. Now I want to explain too, the track on the inside is your slider. This one actually just goes freely. So you got to catch those back up with each other and find that hole. Bolts that come from PRP, the supplied hardware, your bolts are going to be a 7/16. And unfortunately, I don't have a 7/16 ratchet wrench. Still got to tighten the 8 bolts back up. That hold the brackets on. Getting to these little 8 nuts to tighten them back up, it's not that hard because they did slot this bracket. So you can do it from the outside edge, with the exception of this inside. I'm gonna have to go up underneath and the back, which is easily accessed because you can see it just right here from the back of the seat. So that's not a big deal. We're just gonna see how that front right nuts are to tighten. And I'm not 100% sure that I might be better off on the other seat to put these brackets on the seat first. I don't know, I may try it and just see which way is easier. I just don't know till I try it. Oh yeah, that's not gonna be that hard to get to at all. I just moved that slider handle, the unlock mechanism. I just pulled that out of my way. All right, it's bolted in. Oh, still got to put my harness back on. Over here, and grab my 16 and 18, tighten that sucker back up. All right, here, that is one seat in. Put my cushion back in. So that is how that's gonna go back in. And I got to do some adjusting because I loosened them all up. But there it is. Now you can actually see, because the factory seat bracket has these adjustments, which mine was on the center hole, and there's not going to be the adjustment on this PRP seat. So you can actually see the difference between the passenger stock and the driver PRP, how much further upward, upright you're going to be sitting versus the factory, which I actually prefer, because one of the gripes I had with this machine, because of the seats are laying back, much like the way the X3 does, that it takes some of my visibility away when I'm rock crawling. And I like the, desert's kind of fun to kick back, more like you're in a sports car, but I'm mainly rock crawling, and obviously Stormin Norman with 37-inch tires and GDP portals on it, that I built this for rock crawling. So yeah, there's the driver. We'll move over to the passenger. I think I'm gonna try it the other way. I think I'm gonna bolt the seat onto the bracket and see how that works going in. And then we'll test the height on it and see what the height difference at my head's gonna be. All right, so I'm gonna bounce over to the passenger seat, and I'm not gonna do video, obviously, of me taking the passenger seat out. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that out, and then I'm going to, like I said, on this side, I'm gonna try to put the brackets on the seat first and set them in and see which way is easier. Like I said, for this side, I'm gonna try it different, where I put the brackets on first. On the driver's side, I'm gonna put the brackets on the seat first. Again, I had the air lumbar, my little bulb seal. Let me get that out of the way. Oh, need my hardware pack. That would come in handy. And then just make sure when you put these brackets, like I said before, they're gonna go flat side forward. And you need to make sure that you line up the right side, make sure it's got that V-notch for that spring. And it's just on, that spring's just on the one side. So that's gonna be how that goes on. So you just wanna make sure, double check, triple check, that you're putting the bracket on the correct side, facing the correct way. Skeeters. Good old summertime in Alabama. So this is gonna be my outer bracket. So I'm gonna make sure it goes here, and I'm using the furthest forward bolt hole because that's how it worked out on the other one. Mike can use the other hole, I don't know. I'm gonna say no because that's spaced out way further than that. So this bracket must be planned to be used for something else. So let's get this bracket on. Man, that mosquito ain't giving up. He wants my blood. I got those. I'm gonna grab my 7/16 to get those tightened up. All right, I got the seat brackets bolted down. Now I'm gonna set the seat up there and go ahead and run the harnesses through the hole, the seat hole, or it's harness hole. And the main reason again that I'm doing this is just for ease to get the harnesses bolted back on is the main reason I'm even fooling with this way, as I just don't want to bolt the seat down and end up with me fighting trying to get these harnesses bolted on. Maybe easier the other way, but it just seems that this is going to be the way to do it for me. I'm going to loosen these thigh ones up, and if you've ever had to adjust these, you'd know one reason why I don't like them. I don't know why these are so hard to adjust when I can get PRP harnesses and they just slide so easy, and I have to fight these. I just don't know. The hardware looks similar, but it's not the same. So anyway, just a footnote there, I would loosen these thighs up before you bolt them on. And I'm gonna go ahead and get those bolted on. No real reason to show you that. Already showed you that on the other side. I got my thigh harnesses bolted on, and again, this is going to be the opposite of the other side. The outside is going to be your slider mechanism. The other side is going to free float, so you are going to have that little bit of issue of just trying to get those lined up together. And let's see how hard this is going to be to get on with that one free floating. And not only does it free float, it twists as well. And another set of hands would probably be great, but I don't have that luxury. Although my wife is home, she is inside fixing my supper, and I am not interrupting her to help me put seats on. There, front and backs. How about that? All right, so I got those. I'm gonna scoot just back a little bit, and we're gonna put the 8 nuts on. See how hard it's gonna be in here to get into them. I don't think it's gonna be that bad. Yeah, can't see very well, but at least the harder two to get to, for me doing it on this passenger side, I can use my right hand. Oh yeah, I think this may be the way to do it. Now, I don't know if y'all can see any of this or not. I may be talking to a black screen right now. The big thing is I just don't want to drop these little things, because they're little and they could just flat out disappear just about anywhere in that floorboard. Because if y'all have ever lost anything in your floorboard of any side-by-side, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That's stuff, it's like a black hole. You may never find it again. But I hope y'all can see that, what I'm trying to do here. All right, that's the 4 fronts. Let's go to the back and get the 4 backs on. Man, I'm excited. This is going way easier than the driver's side. And the back ones are easier to access. So I got all 8 nuts started. I'm gonna grab my little trusty ratchet wrench here and tighten them all up. And if you remember, on the driver's side where I put the brackets on first, I ended up having to loosen these 8 nuts anyway because one of my harness bolts kind of got in the way, and that, and I left them loose because I wasn't sure. They've got a little bit of play in them, some slots, so I was worried if I kept them tight I wouldn't be able to get the seats on, get the seat holes to line up. So, and that's one reason why I'm doing this side, putting the seats on the bracket first to see which way was easier. And I think I'm catching that answer real quick right now. Now those over there in the front of it here, they're a little harder to get to. You got to stick your hand in here, but again, just like the other side, there's a little slot on the side of the bracket, of the mounting bracket. And like I said before, the back ones are easy to get to. The seats in. I need to put all the harnesses back on and get that tightened up. We're gonna be ready to rock and roll. 18 there, I need to grab my 16 and the ratchet. Let's see where. Is throw my cushion in here. There's my, just gonna leave that down here hidden for now. Fool with my adjustment on that later. Man, how about that? Uh-oh. I think I forgot and left my harness buried in there. That may end up being a problem. That up some to about where it was. And I'm gonna tuck that in there. It may end up rubbing a hole in my seat, but I want it where it's supposed to be and out of my way. And there we go. You got seats and Stormin Norman. All right, there we go. Got them in. Got them in, got them in. What you think? PRP GT3s and Stormin Norman. Just need them back seats to match. Need them back seats. Yeah, we're gonna do something about that next. But yeah, ended up being a not too hard of an install. Did it with hand tools. First seat took me a while because like I said, there are no instructions. So like I said, you guys cut me some slack telling me I should have watched the video of instruction or got my instructions. There are no instructions. This is your instructions until PRP makes some. So First seat, I put the brackets in, and then bolted the seat to it. Passenger seat, I bolted the brackets to the seat and then put it all in. And both weren't hard, but I'm gonna say that the passenger seat, by bolting the seats to the brackets first, was easier and quicker. If I had to go over and do over it again, I would have done both that way, but it was a good way to learn to see which way was gonna be the easier way. All in all, it probably took me an hour and a half. Maybe not that long. I'm gonna say an hour and 15 minutes to get both of them in, but that did include me videoing and fumbling for tools and trying to figure out how they go. I would say watch this video, learn from, I would say, my mistakes and how I did it, and you can probably get them in, man, if you had some help, 30 minutes, by yourself 45 minutes to an hour, because that passenger seat went really fast after I figured how everything went together on the driver's seat. But there you go, guys. PRP GT3s, Stormin Norman. Hope you guys like this video. Try to do some things when I can that are instructional. Please subscribe, give this video a thumbs up. If anything, don't care if you like how I do it, just let me know you appreciate me making these videos. Thanks, guys. Check my headroom, take my hat off. So it feels like we're gonna be about the same height. Let's do my tape measure. It's not really scientific, me holding it just above my head and put my finger on it. Yeah, 3.5. So it looks like the GT3s from PRP are going to sit you a little more upright, but you're still going to have about the same height. So I can't see, didn't raise me up, didn't lower me down, but I can see after I ride this a little bit, because the cushion is removable. I know GT3s I've had before, over time, those cushions will mash a little bit. So I actually should get maybe a little bit more headroom. So hope this helped you out, and hope it helps you make up your mind what you want to do if you want to buy seats. Thanks for watching, guys. One of the things I do want to point out when you put these seats in, because it's not retaining the factory brackets, you're not going to be able to just pop these seats out. If you do need these seats out, you're going to have to unbolt them just the way I bolted them in. The good thing about the Pro XPs, because really the only reason you should have to ever take these out is to access your battery. And the good thing about the Pro XP is Polaris made the battery very accessible by just sliding the seat back. So I just wanted to point that out, that that is one thing you're not going to be able to just pop these seats out like you could OEM seats. The other thing is, I want to point these out too. All the PRP seats that fit in RZRs, and pull this up so I can show it to you, have this pull cord on them for the old style latching mechanism. Apparently, just because it says RZR, they go ahead and put these in here. They serve no purpose. If you have a Pro XP, you've got no reason for these. So you can yank them out, leave them hanging, whatever you want. I personally am just going to pull these out. There's no need for them, and I don't want them to be dangling and catch on something. So just wanted to point those couple of things out. But overall, like I said, badass, dude.